Okay, hello everybody. I am going to do another black garlic attempt, a different way of making black garlic. So I wanted to show you what I'm doing, and then I'll post an update video in a couple weeks to so everybody can see exactly how it went. So anyway, here's what we're doing. So I'm putting it in mason jars this time, and I have a one-way valve. This is just the ball fermentation lid. And I'll show you several different fermentation lids that we have. But I'm going to do this in the sous vide. So let me show you the sous vide. This is a sous vide. Right, not the cooler. This here is a sous vide. And what it does, if you don't know already, you fill it with water, put whatever you're cooking in there, sealed like in a lot of people do it in plastic vacuum packing bags. I'm going to do it in these glass ball jars, and you fill this up with water, and it circulates the water, warms up the water, and keep to whatever temperature you set it at, and keeps it at that temperature. So it'll evaporate off the water, so I have to keep an eye on it and make sure that the level's right, so it doesn't run out, because this will take a couple weeks minimum. So maybe a little bit longer. We'll see. But anyway, what I used is. Looks like it's backwards there. Christopher Ranch, California grown, peeled garlic. 2 of these bags, and they are 3 pounds each. 2 bags from Costco. I don't remember what it costed. It wasn't too bad. But filled up 3 of these half-gallon size mason jars. So, but I'm using this type of fermentation lid because they're pretty sturdy. I think they'll last best with the heat. I mean, I'm only going to set it at about 115. We'll try it at 115, and I might adjust it from there. We'll see how it goes. But so I think it'll be fine. But I wanted to show you different types of fermentation lids. So I've got this one here going. These are smoked roasted jalapenos. And I've got some garlic and onions in there too. I don't know if I put any carrots in there. I don't remember. I don't think so. I think it's just packed a bunch of jalapenos in there. And you and it's a 3.5% brine. So you put water in there, weigh your water out, and 3.5% salt goes in there with it. And they say you can use any kind of salt. I use sea salt because that's what we generally have in the house. So I've heard salt with iodine you can't use, but other people say no, that's baloney, you can. But I don't know. I use what we got. So these ball lids, these kind here, come with a spring. And what the spring does is you put a weight. My wife's home. You put a weight like this on top of the jar, and it holds everything under the brine. But we're not using a brine today. We're just doing the garlic straight in the jar. So there will be no brine in this one. So therefore, I'm not using the spring that comes with it. Okay? I need to look at the camera there. I'm looking at me. So it looks like I'm looking at somebody else. I'm sorry. I'll get better at that. So I want to show you a couple other types of fermentation lids. So they've got these here with the nipple in it. Has a little hole in there, kind of like a baby bottle, and it lets the air out but doesn't let it back in. That's what all the fermentation lids do, is they let the air out. This one you can see it has 4 little holes there with a flapper, so that as it builds up pressure, it'll burp it out and it won't let anything back in. And my first fermentation kit was a kit, this one here, So Legit fermentation kit. And it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It works well. But it comes with a fermentation lid that, you just put your jar lid around it, the screw on, and it has a one-way valve on it. And it comes with some glass weights. And it comes with recipes. And it also comes with a vacuum pump. So you put that on top, pull the air out, and that way it doesn't have any potentially contaminated air inside. So that's pretty cool. I've never had a problem with one molding on me or anything growing funky on top. You can get cam yeast, which will grow on top sometimes, but I've not even had a problem with that yet. Knock on wood, right? So, okay, so here's a couple others. This one and this one, they're similar in how they work. You fill them up with either a brine. Some people fill them with alcohol, something that won't mold. The salt brine won't stimulate any growth in it, so that's why most people use that. Fill up about halfway, but either one of them halfway. You drill a hole in your lid and put the gasket around there, the grommet it's called, rubber grommet, and it comes with a bunch of them. So that's what I've got. There's other kinds out there, but those are the basic kinds, and we'll try this. And I'm going to put it in the cooler with water and set it at 115, 120. Let's set it at 120. And I'll keep an eye on it, and then I'll be back in a couple weeks, and I'll let you know if I turned it down, if the plastic lid melted on me, or or if it's going good. And either way, success or fail, I'll update you and show you how it goes. Wait, don't go away. I forgot to show you the end here of how this is running. So I've got it in the water. There's the sous vide. I think it's pronounced sous vide. I don't know. Sous vide. That's how it's spelled. But in the bottom, I put a rack that I just bought in the cooking aisle at the grocery store. Helps, I think, to circulate the water a little bit better, under, around, so, we get better heat distribution. And it's just in the styrofoam cooler. I've not had a problem with the melting in here like this. I cut a notch there for the cord, a notch there for the cord, and a hole in the top. So you have to watch the weather. I mean, I don't know if it hurt or not, but I don't want the top of this getting rained on. So if it's going to rain, I'm covering it with something, plastic bag or something. And you want to keep it outside because this will get stinky. You will be very sorry if you do black garlic in the house. And make sure you give me a rumble, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see. I can show you how to ferment and make hot sauce. Okay, hello, and this is part 2 of the black garlic in a sous vide. So I found out it's pronounced sous vide. I was pronouncing it sous vide, but apparently it's sous vide. So, if I mispronounce it here and there, forgive me, please. So we started out making the black garlic with a sous vide, and what this does, you put it in the water and it circulates the hot water to cook food. And we're going to use it to make black garlic. And I put it in a cooler, much like this one. That worked fine, but my sous vide quit working after 4 days. So this is a Joride. I don't know if you can get that in there, the type. So I wouldn't recommend that kind because I haven't used this very much. It only lasted 4 days. Most recipes call for 15 to 18 hours to cook something with the sous vide. So 4 days would just be like 4 meals in a row, and it's not going to work on you. So I do some research, find out what a better one would be. So to try to stay as close to the experiment with the black garlic as we could, I went back to the trusty old turkey roaster. So as you recall, we were trying to use, oh, that's a little loose there. That one's not. We were trying to use the one-way valves, the fermentation lids. And they stayed in good shape. They still work. The black garlic was full. It's down to here now. You can see we've got a little bit of hard water deposits on there because it's been in the water for like 8 weeks. I'll look at the calendar. But I get home from work and it's down low. And I fill it back up with hot water, down low, fill it back up with hot water. And I tested it with the thermometer, and it was at 135 is where I wound up settling at to try to keep the temperature. So that way it's above 129, which for botulism, it can't grow at that temperature. So that was why I chose that higher temperature. And that's a great way to get your temperature down right too, because it's kind of guesswork with the dial on a turkey roaster. It has the temperature gauge on there, but I don't know how accurate that is. So you can dial it right in by sticking a hot water, a meat thermometer right in the hot water. So we'll take this, clean it up, go inside, and try it out, see what it looks like. Okay? See you in a minute. Okay, we're in the house now. A couple hours later, I've let things cool down a bit, and Where's the camera? Right there? Right there? Make sure I'm looking at the right place. Alright, my eyeballs are going to wander around. I get distracted by the screen. I'm sorry. But I'll do the best I can with it. I've got the black garlic in, cooled down a bit. And let me show you where we're at. So, the turkey roaster. Now, with these in here, you can see it wouldn't close all the way. So I went through a lot of water. I was filling it like twice a day, and I never let it empty out, but it would have worked a lot better with the 1 quart jar, which both are wide mouth, so the fermentation lid would have worked just fine, and then it will close, and I wouldn't go through so much water. That would have worked better, but I didn't want to open these jars because I started it out, as you recall, in the bigger cooler that they did fit into, and I didn't want to open them because we were 4 days into it, so the fermentation process had started, and so it is what it is. So I did the best I could with what I had. The turkey roaster worked great. Well, let's find out if it worked great. We'll open this up, dump it out into the bowl here. Ooh, it smells really good. It smells really good. That was not the best audio there. But anyway, there, take a look at that. Nice and black and pretty. So, let's pull one out of there. There's a big piece. We'll pull a big piece out onto the cutting board. Hopefully you can see it there. And let me see if I was going to try and zoom this in. Can I zoom this in? No. Anyway. Ooh, nice and soft. So I'll bring this up to the camera. And where is it? Right there. Focus, 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 focus. But it's real squishy and nice and moist. It kept its moisture. So let's try it. Really good. Really good. Finger looking good. So the different ways that I've done this, I've shared this way and one other way. But I've done it 3 different ways. So the first way is the way I learned from another YouTube video to wrap it in plastic wrap, really tight, the whole bulb in plastic wrap with the husk and everything on it, and then 2 layers of aluminum foil over that, and you put it in your turkey roaster, or you put it in a crock pot, or whatever low heat source you want to use. Some people even use an Instapot, and I've done that before. It works. This took a long time too. I put this in June 14th, and I took it out today, August 20th. So it took some time. Now I could have taken this out a week ago, but I was busy, and it went about 4 or 5 days longer than I intended. But it's fine. It worked out great this way. The second way I did it was in the turkey roaster, but in Ziploc baggies. So I put a towel on the bottom, and towels on the side, and the plastic bag in the center. But where it's a fermentation, it ballooned up. So you had to cut the edge, push the air out, reseal it. Not too big of a deal, but it worked fine. The only concern I had is, where it's hot and it's plastic and it balloons up, it could touch the side and melt the bag potentially. But it worked just fine. So that was my only concern there. This method here, you run it like a double boiler. You got water in there, and I kept it up off the bottom on a stainless steel screen that I picked it up at some department store. It wasn't Walmart, but some smaller department store. I don't remember exactly where, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you can find something like that. There's even a wider tray that comes with it that'll probably work, as long as your jars will stand up right. That way it has circulation of water under it, around it, and just keep it as full as you can, as often as you can, and the temperature I kept it at 135. Excuse me. Black garlic coming back up on me. But the temperature, from the research I've done, 120 to 190, I keep it at 135. So you can decide what you want in there, what you think is safest. I think if you got it too hot, you're potentially going to lose the lactobacillus. I don't know if it's a lactobacillus fermentation or some other kind. I'm guessing it's a lactobacillus fermentation. But you're going to maybe cook the bacteria and you won't get the fermentation, which is what we want, you know, a good healthy fermentation there. If it's too cool though, you're risking, they say, botulism or something like that, and you know, that would be terrible. This is really good. That smells great. That smells like really good black garlic. So I like this method. It took longer, but I think it's more of a controlled process. You know, all you got to do is add hot water to it. I just add warm water to it all the time. My faucet's 120 degrees. This was at 135, so the temperature come down a little bit, but it heats it right back up. It's not coming down very much for very long. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me. Like the video. All that fun stuff. You know how to do that. And we'll do more experiments, and I'll show you the failures and the successes. So this is kind of both the failure and success. It's a failure because the sous vide didn't work long enough, but the turkey roaster did. I've had this turkey roaster for easily 15 years. This thing's been through it, and it just keeps going. And so that works good for me. I had it outside the entire 2 months that it was in there. It got rained on, everything else, and it's fine. It still works fine. So that's the method I'm doing from now on, and I like the water in the fermentation lids. This is a ball fermentation lid, and these come in a box with a spring in it. The spring is for fermentations where you have a brine, and the spring pushes down to keep everything below the brine, and then the one-way valve lets the carbon build up from the lactobacillus fermentation escape, and no air coming back in. So it works great for this because this does the same thing, just doesn't have the brine. And you don't need the spring because there's no brine. So, but it worked great. It burped everything out. There's no fuzzies growing in there. That's what you gotta watch for. Look for fuzzies. If it's fuzzy on top, throw it away. Don't have anything to do with it. This looks great on top. Before I even stir it or anything. It's nice, and see, some of that's a little brown because it's not quite as fermented as the rest, but it's, I bet you, just fine. And we'll look through all of this. I'll sift through all of this, make sure everything looks good. And so storage, you can dry it, and it works well. Powder it. I've got some powder that I've sealed, and then I can use whenever I need it. You can put it in the freezer if you want. It'll last for quite a while in the refrigerator too, if you plan on using it in a reasonable amount of time. I've never tested to see how long. I've heard like 6 months, but that was, the whole bulb's wrapped in the husk. That was recommended for that kind of time. But I would, portion it out, put it in the freezer, dry it, whatever you want to do. I'm putting some of this in the freezer because I'm going to use it pretty soon, and a little bit of it's going to go in the refrigerator because I'm going to use it immediately for some hot sauce that I'm making. So maybe I can do a video on that. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a hot sauce video, how I make those, and we'll do that. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Wait, don't go away. I had an idea. I was playing with my Google, and I had an idea about the pH. The fermentation process lowers the pH quite a bit to 4.5 to 3.5, right in there. So while I was playing with my Google, I Googled it and asked, what is the average pH of raw garlic? And it was about, between 5.5 and 6.5. So it was well above 5.5, a lot higher than a fermentation. So let's take some juice out of here and find out. Come on. A little bit. Oh, we got a chunk in there. Come on. There's a good draw. Look at that. Okay, so I tried using a test strip, and it's just too dark. You can't read it. But I've got my pH meter. I just calibrated it. Let's See what it says. Oop. 4.22, so about 4.20, 4.25 right in there. So it's well below 4.5. So my guess is this is a fermentation process because it definitely brought down the pH. Not a scientist, but that's what I would think. That's what happens with the hot sauce. I ferment all my peppers and it brings the pH way down like that, makes it shelf stable. That's why a lot of these products are shelf stable. Hot sauce, if it's been aged, which is just a nice way of saying fermented because that word scares people. But it makes it shelf stable because the pH is below 4.6. Most states for cottage laws, if you're going to sell hot sauce or other sauces, the pH has to be 4.6 or lower. One way to do that is with citric acid. Another way to do that is with fermentation, which brings it down and is a lot healthier than citric acid, I think. So anyway, that's useful information, I think. Thank you very much. I hope you liked the video.